Okay, once again in this video, I'll be discussing an example on uniform circular motion. It is where we will apply again Newton's second law or the law of acceleration. Yan. So this is the problem. A racetrack has the shape of an inverted cone as shown. Ayan. So you have uh, inverted cone. Inverted ba yan? Inverted? Anyway, it doesn't look inverted to me. Cone ganyan. Anyway, so on this surface, the cars race in circles that are parallel to the ground. So this is the car, a certain distance from the bottom of the cone. And then you have here in broken lines, the circle, it's a horizontal circle. So therefore, since it's a horizontal circle, then it is parallel to the surface, the ground. Okay? Now, these are the requirements. A, we have to show the free body diagram of the car. And then B, for a certain linear speed of 34 meters per second, this is quite fast because race car ito, diba? For this value of linear speed, we are to determine the radius of the circular path. And then the second would be, at what value of distance d should a driver locate his car if he wishes to stay on a circular path without depending on friction? Okay. Now, this phrase, later, mamaya na lang yung friction. So let's start muna with the free body diagram of the car. Now, do not get tempted to use the inclined ramp here as your x-axis. No? We only do that if the motion is actually along the ramp. No? But in this case, we do not want the car to slide down or to go up. We want it at a certain height with respect to the ground as it moves in a horizontal circle. So since the circle is horizontal, then that will be, our Cartesian plane now will be upright. Hindi yung itatabingi natin yung x-axis natin. Okay? Second thing, pag uniform circular motion or circular motion, whether it's not uniform, another labeling or another set of coordinates can be more helpful. And that would be in terms of the radial axis, the tangential axis, and the z-axis, which acts as the third axis that is perpendicular to where the rotation is happening. No? It's like where the axis of rotation is. So in that case, our Cartesian plane now, it's still three-dimensional, but we will just use another way of labeling. Ay, ang pangit naman ang line ko. Yan. So, if our center, this is the center of our circular path, right? So this horizontal axis here, since it's along the radius, then we will call this the r-axis. Okay? And then, this vertical line here that is 90 degrees with the circle, with the horizontal circle, this is our z-axis, where the axis of rotation is. Ayan. Why am I introducing this new coordinate axis? Because we will be using this again when we go to rotational mechanics, no? Pag nag-angular motion na tayo. I just want to emphasize that the Cartesian plane that we have these different coordinates. In your higher mathematics, you also have polar coordinates, etc. So ito naman ngayon, if I'll sketch here a line that is tangential to this circle, this point, then this would be our tangential axis. I want it to pass through the origin. So, tangential, sorry guys, hindi ko pa rin master itong stylus ko. Ayan. So, this will now be the tangential axis. R is for radial because it's along the radius. T is for tangential, okay? Simply because it's tangential to the path. And then the Z is where the axis of rotation is. We will learn later na kung ano yung axis of rotation. It's an imaginary line that cuts through the centers of all the circular motion. So si Z at saka si R axis, these are 90 degrees with each other. Si T axis at saka si Z is also another perpendicular. And then si T at saka si R is also perpendicular. Ayan. So I hope you use your imaginations. No? So sa ato pa, at any point in the horizontal, in the circular path here, you'll always have a 3D axis. So for example, pag dito ngayon yung particle mo, edi ito pa rin si Z mo. Si R mo ngayon ang magiging ito. Kasi papunta siya sa center along the radius. May battery low. Pakisaksak ng charger. Ayan, nakasaksak na. So this is your R this time kasi it's along the radius papuntang center. And then this would still be your Z axis. And then si tangential, itong tangential dito. Ito si T. Pag this point. Pag somewhere naman siya dito, sa likod na ng center, ito na naman yung R mo, R axis. Ito yung tangential mo, the T. And then this will always be the Z, the vertical. I hope you use your imagination, no? Last thing, if it's somewhere here, dito ka gumawa ng FBD, this would still be the Z axis. And then going towards the center would be the R. And then tangential would be the T. So parang ganon. Ang gagawa natin, ang madaling gawa ng FBD pag horizontal circle is either dito sa rightmost, kasi pag nasa rightmost ka, klaro yung tatlong axis. Ito yung Z mo, ito yung R mo, pero this is negative kasi away from the center. Ito yung papuntang positive R. Okay? Yung sinabi natin last time. And then itong tangential axis ngayon, ito si T. So kung gagawa kayo ng free body, ang pinakamadali is either dito sa right side or dito sa leftmost side. This would still be your Z axis pag naa siya dire. And then this would be your R. Going into the center is the positive R axis. Going away from the center is the negative R. And then you have the tangential axis here. This is T. Ayan. Okay? So, pili lang kayo. Kasi pag sa other points, mahirap i-draw yung 3-dimensional axis. Tapos, ang dinodrawhan mo is just a 2D surface. Okay? So, sa FBD natin, I want to show the FBD of the car when it is somewhere here at the rightmost part of the circular path. So, to guide us in our free body diagram, we will still be using the particle model. So, instead of a car, si car natin gagawin nating particle. So we don't care kung asa gyud nag-apply ang force, no? It's as if nasa center siya. And then I suggest you put a guide, no? So lagay mo yan diyan, maliit na circle. Yan yung center ng path mo. And then i-guide mo muna ang self mo. You draw the horizontal circle, the horizontal path of the particle. Yan. So, yan yung horizontal circle mo ngayon. Okay. And then, saka ka ngayon mag-sketch ng axis mo. So, sabihin mo na itong nagka-cut through sa horizontal circle, this is always the Z axis. And then, going towards the radius is your R axis. Yan, this is going towards positive R, papuntang center, as mentioned in the earlier video. And then I'll have my tangential axis here. This is T. Since this is a uniform circular motion where the linear speed is constant, then there is constant. Then in this tangential axis, walang imbalance sa forces dito or pwede ngang walang force, no? Para yung speed dito remains the same. So now we are ready to put in the forces received by the car. Number 1, meron siyang mass. Okay? So, ang car, merong mass, M. Pag merong mass, it will interact with the earth and it will receive a gravitational force, yung bigat niya. So, tawagin na nating FG yung weight ng car. So, it's always downward. So, si earth dito sa baba will pull it down. Ayan, hihilahin siya with a force equal to its weight. So, lagay natin dito sa free body diagram. It's along the z-axis. See? F sub G. Liitan lang pagsulat ng subscript ha, kasi baka ma-multiply nyo with 9.8, ano na kayo. Second, ano pa ibang forces? Meron ba kayong nakikitang mga ropes dito? Wala. So, walang rope, walang chain, walang nakatali sa car. So, walang tension. Okay? Next, we do not want to depend on friction. So, masyadong maliit ang friction kumpara sa weight ng car at saka sa isa pang force which is the normal force. So, dito sa ilalim ng car, merong ramp. Itong ramp, tinutulak niya paakyat yung pinupush niya upward yung car. And that is the normal force because of the ramp. So, yan yung ilalagay natin dito. Kasi si normal force, it has to be normal with the surface exerting it. So, normal siya. So, normal siya dito sa tangential axis natin. So, ilalagay natin dyan ngayon si normal force. Ayan, eta. Okay? So, this is the reason why civil engineers, they always put angle on roads na paliko. Okay? Because they do not need to rely on friction. Kasi pag what if pala worn out yung tires ng car, ng vehicle, tapos yung road is asfalto, tapos ni ulan gamay, so danlog kayo. In cases like that, you cannot rely on friction to supply the centripetal force. Okay, pagliko sa car, no, pag flat ang road, muliko siya, it's just the static friction between the car and the tires that will provide the pull towards the center para makaliko ang car, makakurbada. Kung dili enough ang friction between the tires and the car to pull it towards the center, then the car will skid off the road. Dili siya muliko, labi nagpaspas kaayo siya, no? Kasi pag masyadong mabilis, merong direct proportion ang kinakailangan na puwersa with the speed. So, kung paspas kayo ang car, mas kinahanglan niya usgan nga paak para pagliko niya, makaliko siya. Kung kukulangin yung puwersa na yon, mulampa siya sa road, delikado. Kaya kailangan mag-slow down talaga siya, no? Kasi 'di ba, centripetal force equals mv squared over r. Yan. So si engineer ngayon, inisip nila na siguro what if hindi kakayanin ng friction nga? So in that case, pag paliko, nilalagyan, binabank nila. So you have what we call a banked curve. Bank means naka-angle, naka-incline siya. So it's an inclined curve. So pag paliko, for example, to the left, yan. Meron siyang certain angle, let's say alpha there. And then if this is the road now, and then ito yung curve path, no? Kanang paliko ka. So it's as if merong imaginary na horizontal circle. Yan, nadiri ang car. Na. Okay? So if the car wants to go to make liko to the left, edi meron ngayong normal force. It's actually the x component. So kung i-FDD natin to, merong normal force from the road, the eta, same thing as the racetrack here. But it's just the eta x that is towards the center. Tapos you have the weight here. So even if there's no friction, there will always be a normal force x component. Kaya dili man na pwede nga mulutaw ang car diha, na bayat na isalog sa ilalom. Okay? So that's the reason why for curved roads, there has to be an angle. Kasi pag nag-angle ka na, automatic meron kang x component ng normal force that is towards the center. Siya ngayon yung magsisilbing centripetal force that will cause the car to make liko. If the centripetal force here, if the normal force is not enough, dili na siya maka-straight diha, mo lampas na dito kay tangential man iyang velocity. Mo skid off siya sa road. Okay? So for every radius of the path, depende na karon sa kalapad sa kalsada sa likuan. So from here to there, that's the radius of your path. Magdepende kung unsa kalapad sa road at saka unsa ang angle dire sa maximum speed na pwede. So naay mga kurbada nga ang iyang maximum speed taas, that is for wide curve paths. Pero kung masyadong makitid ang likuan, ang maximum speed na naadiha, gamay kaayo para, ba, remember, centripetal force is mass times the linear speed squared over the r. So if you look at this relationship, pag gamay si r, kailangan nimo dako nga centripetal force para makaliko ka. Kung lapad si r, dako imong kalsada nga likuan, gamay-gamay ang imong puwersa na kailangan if you keep the speed constant. Okay? Now, if you look at the relationship naman between speed and centripetal force, okay, this is very important. So, ni-segue ko kadali lang kayo. So, we say the centripetal force is inversely proportional to the radius of the path. We also say this is at constant speed. Okay, di mo sabon ng speed pag nagkumpara ka sa duha. If we keep if we pass through the same road, same constant r, then the centripetal force is directly proportional to the square of the speed. Meaning, pag mo doble ang kapaspas sa nag-drive, kinahanglan niya 4 times as much centripetal force para makaliko. Mo nang lisod kayo. 'Di ba? Kay kung dili na kaya nun sa normal force dire x component, malagpot gid na siya sa kalsada, no? Yayay, disgrasya. Ayan. And then what else? And then centripetal force is also directly proportional to the mass. Yan. So pag naka-curve na naka-bank na ang curve, pwede na ta dili mo rely sa friction. Kaysa sa kung flat imong road, na diri imong car, unya mo ni ang center no nya diri na siya mo tuyo na paliko siya dito. Pag ingani, the free body diagram now, si normal force will just be counteracting the weight. So si eta diri, balansihon lang niya ang kabugaton sa car. So walay acceleration. It's now the static friction between the tires of the car and the road. Static, automatic, basta flat ha. Basta flat ang curve. It's the static friction now between the car and the road that supplies the centripetal. Kay siya lang man ang padulong sa center. Okay? And then you have to take note that static friction is also affected by mu sub s. No? Ang kasinaw sa katong ligid o sa road, pag sinaw silang duha, gamay kayo ning mu s. So pag gamay ang mu s, gamay ang static friction. Dili kusog ang paak, so mas lisod mo liko. That's the idea. And then you have the normal force, of course. So the heavier the car, the greater static friction is present. No? Yan. So pag like as mentioned earlier, dili sa tanang panahon makarely ka sa static friction para mo provide sa imong centripetal force. Kay kunyari lagi, upaw na yung ligid, nya danlog ang kalsada, delikado siya. Kaya the engineers, the civil engineers, they calculate the certain alpha minimum angle or maximum angle for a certain speed limit kung unsa kalapad ang kalsada nga kurbada nga ilang ginahimo. Okay? So that's the idea. In this case, since ang car natin dito is nasa inclined path, tapos wala siya nirely og friction, then the centripetal force here is just due to the normal force. Yan. So sa mga problems later class, pag circular motion, kambi-kambiuhan lang man, no? For example, diri nga example is a car. Later, pwede siya mahimog box, pwede siya mahimog, etc. Basta the principle remains the same. Okay? So, completing our FBD of the car, si eta merong R, Okay, so meron siyang radial component at saka meron siyang N along the Z. So tanggalin mo na ito. Yan. And then we know that, so from here, going there, this angle here is theta, 40 degrees, such that this will also be theta. And then this will be 90 minus theta. So that the angle between Z and the normal force is also theta. Ayan. Okay. So our FBD is now complete. We are now ready to solve whatever is asked. The equation now will depend on our free body diagram. So this is our FBD of the car. Ito siya. For a speed of 34, what is the radius of the circular path? Okay, sige. We will use Newton's second law. The acceleration happens along the radius, no? So it's A sub r that is present. There's no acceleration in the z-axis, kaya wala man naguntol-untol ang ato ang car. And there is no acceleration along the tangential because the speed is constant. It does not change. So ito lang, si radial lang. So si second law, i-apply natin sa radial axis, second law of motion. Okay. So our solution now, we say that if we sum up all the forces in the radial axis, it will be equivalent to the mass of the car times the radial acceleration of the car. Okay, and then follow the command. Add all the forces in the radial axis. Go back to your free body diagram. You only have a single force along the radius, and that is N sub R. So, ang lagay natin dito pang substitute is just the R component of eta. Ito siya ngayon yung centripetal force na pinasabi natin. Yung diniscuss ko taod-taod lang sa. And then, we know that the magnitude of A radial is just equal to V squared over R. Ayan. So, papalitan natin ngayon ng V squared over the radius, yung equation natin. And then, you will realize na dalawa na naman ang unknown. Hindi natin alam si normal force, hindi natin alam si radius. So, kanang gibalik-balik na ako. Every example, if you have two unknowns, you have to generate, of course, two equations then. So, we will continue simplifying this. Si N sub R is opposite to theta. Itong eta R, pwede din ilagay mo dyan as reflection. So, it is opposite theta. So, in replacement for N sub R, eta R, this will be eta sine theta. Kasi opposite siya, no? And then equals M V squared over R. Okay. We have, I will call this as equation 1. And then we generate another equation pang substitute for eta. So what else can we do? We go to, if you look at your free body diagram, si normal force, merong component sa z-axis. So gagamitin natin yung summation sa z-axis. So set this aside for a while. We add all the forces in the z-axis. And what is it equal to? It's equal to 0 because there's no acceleration in the z. So equilibrium in the z-axis. Equilibrium in z-axis. So add all the forces in the z. You have positive normal force z component and then a negative weight F sub g. So further simplifying, the z component of the normal force is just eta cos theta. And then transposing Fg on the other side, weight is just equal to mass of the car times 9.8. Okay. So meron na tayong pampalit kay normal force. Therefore, is just the mass times G over cosine theta. I will call this as equation 2. And then I will say here that I will substitute equation 2 in 1 to find R. Okay, pag nagsusolve kayo, gusto kong may mga ganito na labels ha. Makipag-usap kayo sa readers nyo. Okay, so let's write muna equation 1 which says eta, mag-color code ako. I'll put eta in green. So I'll have eta and then sine theta equals mv squared over r. Remember, si r ang pinapasolve sa atin. So where eta is mg, so it's mg over cosine theta. And then you have sine theta mv squared over r. So pag i-transpose mo si m sa kabila, mawawala lang siya. Kaya, it doesn't matter kung anong klaseng car ang nasa racetrack na ito kasi walang contribution si mass. Pag ang variable na wala sa equation, it means wala siya effect, no? So, pwedeng bugat, pwedeng mas gaan. Same pa rin if you are using the same racetrack. What's the trigonometric identity for sine over cosine? Very good. It's tangent. Madungganta mo. G tangent theta equals v squared. Ay, nga naman ako nigi capital. Sorry. We have to be consistent with our labels. Small r. And then finally, cross multiplying r is just equal to v squared over g tangent theta. So, hindi na natin kailangang malaman ano ang mass ng car. No? Ang binigay lang is angle at saka speed. So, we can now substitute the values, 34 meters per second squared. G is 9.8. And then tangent theta is 40 degrees. So that the radius of the racetrack for this particular speed and this particular angle, we have ang radius ng iikutan dapat ng particular car na ito, therefore, is 141, three significant figures. 141 meters. Okay? Medyo dako ni siya nga racetrack ha, kay approximately, usually, kanang distance between duha ka Davao Light nga poste, that's around 100 meters. So, lampas kagamay. Ana ang radius niya. Doblehon pa gina nimo para ma-imagine mo sa kadako ang diameter sa iyahang ginatuyukan. So, that's for letter A. Yan. And then, what's question B? Si question B, so ganitong si B, with the radius in A here, sa to, unsa daw ang, nakalmot ko, B2 na pala yung radius. What is the D if he will not depend on friction? What value of distance D should the driver locate his car if he wishes to stay on a circular path without depending on friction? So, kani si radius B kuan din siya. This is the question for B first, and this is B2. So, if this is the center now, and you have your car somewhere here, this is the R, na-solve na natin sa first part. Ito yung car natin. Ito yung hinahanap. Ano dapat si D? The distance from the bottom of the racetrack. So, it's just a matter of a simple trigo, diba? Ayan. So, we just use cosine of theta equals the radius over the D. So, very straightforward lang si D. So, we have R over cosine theta. So, you have 141. Kung gusto niyang magstay dyan na radius na yan, unsa kalayo siya dapat. Ayan. So, cosine 40. And then this gives us, therefore, that the D should be 184. Ayan. These are high-speed cars, no? Kay lumbaanan good ni, racetrack. So, medyo long distances na itong pinag-uusapan natin. Okay, that's it. So what have we learned here? Number one, for UCM, it is more practical to use the radial tangential z-axis. Okay, CZ will always be 90 degrees with the surface where the horizontal, where the circle is happening, circular path is happening. Yan. And then the acceleration here happens along the radius, otherwise di ni siya makatuyok. So the rest equilibrium along the x and the y kay UCM man ni siya. Yan. And then we apply second law, and then of course, and then algebra or whatever takes over. Dito, trigo. Yan. So that's the law of acceleration as applied in explaining the dynamics of uniform circular motion. So I still have two more examples siguro. One on static and the other one is on accelerating system. Okay, study more and then stay well. Bye-bye.